Hey everybody, Grest here. So by the time I release this video, I will have had our 2021 Ford Raptor for 4 years. So just rolled over 64,000 miles, and I am long overdue for an update. Purchased our Raptor in September 14th of 2021, and you know, we came out of a 2019 Gen 2 Raptor, and you know, just wanted to give you guys kind of my long-term ownership experience with this particular truck. As far as adventures that I've taken this thing on, I've taken it to Colorado to hunt elk up in the mountains in the wintertime. I've taken it out to the coast, so we spent a lot of time out at the coast running in the sands at Fort Fisher. We also did a trip out to Cape Lookout earlier this year, around July 4th. And you know, it's been a pretty awesome truck for all of that. I mean, I'm not doing super hardcore off-roading. I'd say the most hardcore as far as rock crawling and technical stuff, it would have been in Colorado. Also, we've had it down in the Osceola National Forest. Now that's in the northern part of Florida, close to where I grew up. Actually, I grew up in Swanee County, Florida. They have some fire trails and whatnot there, and it's a pretty cool spot to go run some trucks. It's also do quite a bit of towing with this thing. So we have a boat, so we tow quite a bit. I know a lot of folks say that you know, the Raptors are not that suited for towing, and I would tend to agree. It tends to squat a little bit in the rear. I have towed my old 96 F-150 on a flatbed trailer as well. That was about 6,500 pounds roughly, and it squatted pretty good with that. They do have airbag systems though that you can you know, install in the rear coil springs to help assist with that, and I do plan on doing that at some point. We also have a side-by-side that we tow on a 6x8 trailer, so when I went to Kentucky to do some hunting trips and stuff like that, that is you know, one of the trailers that I have hauled with this as well. So as far as towing for my purposes, it's been wonderful, but I'm not towing super heavy loads. I think the rating is 8,400 pounds thereabouts, maximum tow rating. And that's due to the Fox suspension on this thing. It is ultra soft, so if you're towing heavy loads with a heavy tongue weight, it is going to squat quite a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about maintenance on this thing. So I've tried to be extra cautious with the amount of maintenance that I have performed on this particular vehicle, with the thoughts of keeping it for a very, very long time. So I've tried to do the things well within schedule, Ford's recommended schedule. So as far as oil and filter, every 5,000 miles, AMSOIL full synthetic and their filter, tire rotations, that sort of thing, every 5,000 miles as well. Some of the other things that I've had done to the truck, warranty concerns, but around 10,000 miles, I did have the rear Fox live valve shocks replaced because I had the infamous clunk that a lot of people had with these trucks when they were first coming out, the Gen 3 model that is. So yeah, so they swapped those out. It wasn't really a big deal. I also had the wiper arm recall. Now, speaking of recalls, I do have the rear camera and the low pressure fuel pump recall currently. They do not have the parts yet for the low pressure fuel pump. So once they have that together, I will be swapping that out, or taking it in for that recall, that is. Spark plugs, did those Motorcraft plugs, just regular old stock plugs, around 40,000 miles. I am on my second set of BF Goodrich KO2 tires. I did those also around 40,000 or so. They weren't totally bald or anything. I try to swap my tires out before they get too low on the tread. One of the advantages to that, you can sell them to somebody that needs cheap tires, and typically, in my experience, I can sell a used set of 4 with those type of miles for about what one new tire costs, so that works out pretty good. So I ended up paying for 3 tires instead of instead of 4 tires. Also, in keeping with the maintenance, the rear diff fluid, I also did that around 40,000 miles. At the time, I installed the Ford Performance rear differential cover. I know it's the same as a Spicer, but I wanted that Ford Performance logo on there. I also used ARP hardware instead of the bolts that came with it, nor the factory bolts. So I think that was a pretty good move, and also the lube locker gasket on there. So that's a pretty well-known gasket to use for differential sealing. So definitely recommend the lube locker gasket if you're going to do a differential service and you want to swap out the cover. Even if you don't, if you just want to put the original cover back on, it's a good gasket to go. Also did the transfer case front differential fluid. So the transfer case I've done twice now. I did it at 40,000. I did it just recently again, about 63,000. The transfer case is one of those that gets a little neglected. So it's quick and easy to change. So I don't mind doing it every 20,000 miles or so. The front differential I did also with AMSOIL fluid. I did that around 55,000 miles. Another one that folks kind of waffle around on as far as maintenance is the transmission service. So this is the 10-speed transmission that a lot of people have had issues with over the years. I had some problems with my 2019. I had the Ford dealer service it and they overfilled it, left me stranded. They overfilled it a second time and I had problems with it puking fluid out the overflow tube. I opted to have a independent shop do the service. They installed the B&M transmission pan that includes an additional 2 quarts of fluid, and I gave them a very detailed write-up on exactly the fluid level before I took it in and all that stuff, just to kind of assist with getting a service done that was going to be without any sort of headaches. And they did a great job, and the price was very reasonable. I had that done around 50,000 miles, and I'm at 64,000 now, and I've had no issues with it. I know some people say to hold off on the transmission fluid service. Ford says 150,000 miles, but Ford is also all over the place with some of their stuff. So you know, and I do tow and whatnot, so, you know, doing it around 50,000 was pretty good. And from here on out, I can do drain and fills, you know, every 25,000 if I want to, and it's pretty easy with a B&M pan. Also, just before 60,000 miles, I had under warranty. This was the last bit of warranty work I had completed on the truck. I had the kind of rumbling in the front end from the IWEs. So for those that don't understand what those are the integrated wheel ends. They are on the spindle ends for your four-wheel drive for your front wheels. Ford has a known issue with these, that they start having some grumbling and stuff if you put it, if you have those weird noises or feels or sensation in your steering wheel. If you turn four-wheel drive on or all-wheel drive on for auto and it goes away, then you know that it's the IWEs, and that's exactly what I had. I took it in. They didn't really say anything about it. They swapped them out, no problem. The other issue I took it in at the same time was for the kind of rattling of the exhaust due to the live valve active exhaust springs are a little under tensioned, and they were going to cover it under warranty, then my ESP, and then they said no, and they wanted to charge me a bunch of money to replace the entire actuator. So I just ordered the springs and swapped them out myself. They were a little aggravating, but it did take care of the rattle that I had. So, you know, I think the parts for both springs for both valves was around 70 bucks or so, so it wasn't a big deal. The last maintenance item I did was, and I kind of built up to this one, so for those that don't understand or know about this, the Raptors have Fox suspension, and the service interval on the Fox suspension is quite, I don't want to say stringent, but they have a periodicity, and for regular use, with not super heavy off-roading, they recommend to service the Fox shocks and struts at the 50,000 mile mark. I could have went the shock exchange route or something like that, but what I ended up doing was I was able to score a set of brand new rear shocks for a cheap enough price, and then I found somebody that had a set of brand new takeoffs, basically with only a couple, 2,000-3,000 miles, the entire front strut assemblies with springs, top hats, etc. And since I was just keeping my suspension stock, that was a no-brainer for me. I purchased those. I did swap them out. I ordered all new hardware, nuts, bolts, and stuff through Ford, because the nuts are nylon type of nuts, and they are one-time use only. And now I have a second set for rebuilding purposes down the road. So when I did that service, I did notice that when the IWEs were replaced, unfortunately, the technician at Ford that replaced those, he decided to remove the steering knuckles, the tie rod ends from the spindle knuckle, with beating them with a hammer rather than using the ball joint remover or the special tool to separate those. The spindle assemblies and the knuckles, they're cast aluminum, and they will crack if you beat on them. And then it specifically states this in the Ford service manual. I kind of cleaned them up as best I could because they had moved a lot of material, especially on the passenger side. And I'll roll in some photos so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I did reach out to the dealer and kind of explain what happened and what my concerns were, and I didn't expect a whole lot. But they said that's definitely not right, and they would like to replace them if I wanted them replaced. So I'm still working with them to kind of set up a time to do that. That just happened. So that was pretty cool of the Ford dealer, because I've had those that know me personally and seen some of my discussions about my wife's old Ford. We've had a lot of issues with Ford and Ford service. We are kind of in the no more Ford type of situation at the moment, but this was definitely positive for them to decide to try to take care of us with that. So all right, modifications. So I know that's the other thing folks are going to be asking. I you know, this truck comes so well equipped, and it's way more than what I need it for. I mean, I do some off-roading, but I'm not doing crazy off-roading all the time. So I've been pretty lenient on the modification. So I have done the JOT oil separator, did that very early on. I always do that on my turbo vehicles. I also installed the rock blocks, front and rear rock guards. Now these are actually Gen 2 versions, because when we first got this truck, the Gen 3 versions were not out. So I had to modify those to work. They have since came out with Gen 3 versions, so that's not a problem if you're looking for those. Of course, I did the Ford Performance rear differential cover with the ARP hardware and the lube blocker gasket. I also did the B&M transmission pan with the drain plug and the 2 extra quart capacity. I have a hard tonneau cover on the back. So that's kind of the, you know, the only mods I have. I've not done anything out of the ordinary. I mean, just mostly maintenance stuff. Off-road experience with this truck, what type of off-road stuff? I kind of mentioned, you know, Colorado Rockies up in higher elevation in the winter, Osceola National Forest, Fort Fisher, North Carolina, Cape Lookout, back home in Florida. When I go back home, there's a lot of dirt roads and stuff, so a little bit of off-roading there. The Osceola National Forest, of course. My hunting trips to Kentucky and also here in North Carolina. That's about it for the off-roading.
It's definitely off.
They, you know, this truck has done everything that I've asked of it in terms of off-road capabilities. It's, you know, way more than what I typically need for the type of adventures I'm doing. And I have not had a scenario where I have lost confidence in the vehicle's, the truck's abilities. So future plans for this truck, other than continue to drive it and take care of it, I have on order the Fouts factory bumper light mount. So that'll be coming in, I think, next week. I'm also, actually these already came in, a set of Oxbeam 4.5-inch Ultra Series pod lights. So I'm gonna put 4 on this bumper mount on the front. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be a pretty cool upgrade. I've been wanting to do a light upgrade for a long time, but lighting is so gosh darn expensive. And I know some people are gonna be like, why didn't you go Baja Designs or Rigid or, you know, Diode Dynamics or whatever? We'll see. Maybe I regret going with this particular brand, but all indications from some of the other truck off-road groups that have used them, they've had pretty good success. Are they as good as some of those other brands durability wise? That remains to be seen. They've, you know, I think for what I do, the amount of off-road I do, the lights are reasonably priced enough. I mean, they're still not super cheap, but they're cheaper than the comparable Baja Designs or whatnot. So looking forward to getting those things installed. So again, 4.5-inch. These are a combo spot wide type of setup. They also have amber lenses, so I can, you know, pop those on and off and whatnot. I think they're going to be pretty cool. The other thing that is kind of on my radar for upgrades here in the near future is when it comes time to do the brakes. So I'm at 64, just past 64,000 miles. Brakes are something, especially with towing. You know, they tend to, you know, probably in the 70 to 80,000 mile range. I'll probably be getting pretty close to needing some brakes. I try to not drive brake heavy, so they do tend to last a good amount of time with my driving. But I'm planning on doing Power Stop. So Power Stop's a brand I've used their brakes on pretty much everything I can think of over the last, you know, 15 years. I'll probably do some sort of slotted, cross-drilled, you know, ceramic pads, like I've also done on other vehicles. It won't be inexpensive, but it won't be as expensive as going with like a different caliper setup. It should provide me some better maybe a little bit of an increase in brake capacity, maybe. If not, they'll still look cool, and as long as they perform at least as good as the factory brakes, which the factory brakes they're pretty good, so I can't really complain about those. So, so the other thing that I've been kind of thinking about, and the main reason I put this off is because I don't want to deal with the warranty stuff, because I do got extended warranty to 125,000 miles, is some sort of a tune like Ford Performance or Goose Tune. So ideally, probably would like to go Goose Tune, but unfortunately you have to send in your ECU to Cobb for an unlock, and then it's just a lot of hassle. So I may just maybe I just grab the Ford Performance Tune for a pretty reasonable price and then go with that. I don't know yet. I haven't really decided exactly if and when I'm going to do that. So if anybody has any experience with Goose Tune or the Ford Performance Tune and you want to post that down below, definitely do so. But yeah, so that is my kind of 4-year long-term owner's update on my Gen 3 Raptor. You know, it's hard to believe that it's been 4 years because this truck is just so awesome. I take really good care of it. You know, I keep it waxed. It's got scratches from off-road and stuff, but you know, there's some folks that sometimes comment, you know, that it really doesn't even look like a 2021 because I take good care of it. You know, I try to take care of my stuff for the long term. I am one of those that over the years I've tended to swap out vehicles a little bit about the 3-year, you know, 2 to 3 year mark. And this vehicle, you know, 4 years, and I have no intention of getting rid of it. With the newer Raptors costing as much as they do, and I'll put the window sticker on this. This is a loaded out one, 35-inch with the carbon fiber package. It's got the sunroof deal, and you know, this vehicle here will cost me, you know, a good bit more for a 2025 or a 2026, since the 25 model year is on the way out at this point. I just don't see what I get with upgrading to a one of the new Raptors. Oh, speaking of upgrades, I have played around with Forescan and done some of the common stuff with that, so I didn't want to forget about that. Forescan's pretty cool. If you're not aware of what it is, it's a software that you can use to connect to your vehicle and change some settings and stuff like that. So so I've played around with that. That works really good. But yeah, so again, long-term update on my 2021 Ford Raptor. It has been such an awesome truck. It's you know, does everything I want it to do, looks good. You know, wife absolutely loves it. We just, you know, it's just been a great truck. I know Ford has went downhill the last few years, especially since, you know, all the supply shortages and stuff like that. So you know, I got a good one, I think, at least from my experience, other than a few little issues I've mentioned, and I just plan on keeping it. So, you know, I know some people don't like the 3.5 EcoBoost. I know the R is out and all that stuff, but I just don't see the, you know, for me, you know, going into debt, you know, for a new vehicle over this one, I just don't see the advantage. If I didn't already have a Raptor, then maybe, but this thing's just been freaking awesome. I can't see any sort of upgrade over this, you know, for the amount of money I throw in there. So, all right, so that about wraps up my long-term 4 years of ownership. I don't know of anybody else that has put out such a long-term ownership video on the Gen 3 Raptor. So I know there's a lot of people that, you know, flip theirs, you know, every couple years and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Gen 3 Raptor. You know, if you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Be sure to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And you know, we'll see if I'm here doing an 8-year video on this truck. It's you know, at this point, I don't have any plans to get rid of it, but you know, life makes weird turns and sometimes things happen. I've set myself up to keep this long term, but you never know where life's going to take you. So But I appreciate everybody, taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate everybody liking and subscribing, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Y'all take it easy.